Welcome to the Obesity Medicine Podcast with your host, Dr. Rentea, board certified in internal medicine and obesity medicine. Here, we talk about a path to metabolic health, and we have real conversations about chronic weight management and living a full life. Just a reminder, I am a physician, but I'm not your physician. So everything that's on this podcast is for informational purposes, but please go talk to your doctor about what's right for you. There is no medical advice being given on this podcast. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Recently, I've been thinking a lot about how can we get out of perfectionism so that we can keep going down this road to better health and actually living the life that we want. And majority of the time, the things that get in the way are perfectionism. And I'm going to expand on that for a minute because a lot of the time, when you hear that, you might say, oh, I'm not a perfectionist. Yeah, I want to achieve some things, but I'm not too hard on myself. But perfectionism is where it's never good enough. Okay, this is pretty much 99% of people that I work with, that you might be starting to have a walking practice or you're doing some strength training moves here and there. But every time I talk to you, it's never good enough. It's not like, yeah, I'm really proud of myself. Look at me. I wasn't doing anything. Here I am doing these things. Wow. Look at what I'm doing. No, that's never in the mix. It's always not good enough. And when I ask you, I'm like, well, what would you be proud of? It's like, I'd be at the gym 7 days a week for 2 hours. I would have started 3 new Pilates classes. I would do 5 swimming classes. I mean, something where it would need to be Biggest Losers style, your full-time job for you to get it done. So that's what I mean by perfectionism. There was a really great episode back in the day. I'm not sure if we've referred to it in the past, but Cara Lowenthal on her podcast, she has this episode called Perfectionistic Fantasies. And it's really when you just enjoy planning and sort of prepping, but you're never actually going to be able to achieve all those things. And that's really hard for people to let that land, that there's going to have to be an aspect of this is good enough, or sort of what we could call B- work, meaning something done is better than nothing, right? These are ultimately the most successful people in life that just keep moving forward, even if it's not perfect. I heard a good thing the other day that they were saying for business owners, you have to get used to putting out what you consider is about 60% good enough. Now, some of you hear that and you gasp. But the point is, if you're always needing everything to be perfect, I would never put anything out. Every single podcast, I think to myself, oh, I could have done this differently. Honestly, I would love to re-record these about 10 times. I really would. Now, rarely I will do a second or third go. Every so often I'll say, oh my gosh, I've tried to record this 10 times because sometimes there's something that's really hard to deliver. But if I had to wait for something to be perfect, I would truly never do it, right? So when it comes to our health, we're not practiced in this. We're really practiced in needing everything to be done perfect, or why even bother? This is what I really want you to start with asking yourself is, if I can't do it perfectly, I might as well not do it at all. Do you ever say those things to yourself? Or you sit there and you're thinking to yourself, well, that 5-minute walk won't even matter, so I'm not going to do it. You discount it. And so today I just want to talk about a strategy or two that I think really matters. And I wonder if it could be motivating to you. So the first thing that I absolutely love is the saying of 5 minutes matters. And I want you to just go with me here. I want you to imagine that you are a farmer, okay? And now is the time of the year when you're going to pick the crops, all right? So you're out there and there's all this whatever crop it is, okay? Imagine this in your mind. And you're going to have like old school style. You're going to have a little like burlap sack like bag on you, and you're going to pick these things. Imagine you only have these 5-minute chunks throughout the day, but you're still going to fill up that bag at the end of the day. Now imagine if you had told yourself, maybe this analogy is not hitting home at all, but at the end of the day, you have this bag that's full of goods, and you can make pies with it, and you can make jams, and it's going to sustain you through winter, and it's going to be amazing, right? And imagine if you had not taken any of those days, you'd not taken the 5 minutes to just go out and just get a few during that time. You wouldn't have an entire pantry or whatever we want to call it that you would have full of canned goods and stuff that you could use because you kept harvesting those 5 minutes. That is the equivalent of what you're doing with your health. When you don't take those 5 minutes after you've had your lunch and you don't yet need to be back at work, and you're not just getting in a few minutes of walking, or you think, oh, it's not going to matter, so you're not cutting one vegetable per week, or you're not seeing, well, what could be an easy option at the store? You're not taking these little 5-minute gifts and you're thinking it doesn't matter because you're trying to be in this like perfection lane where either everything's prepped and it's all perfect and I perfectly measured and weighed and calorie counted, or I just do a version where I add in more veggies, where I try to get a few more grams of protein, right? You're not harvesting all these things and you don't have the full pantry at the end. You don't have anything to show for it. 5 minutes is going to lead to a clean house, is going to lead to veggies being prepped, is going to lead to multiple miles walked per week. Think about this. I love this analogy where it's not an analogy, but basically where it's if you walk 10K steps per day, that's multiple, it's like 20 something marathons per year. I don't know. I said the exact number a few episodes back. I just got to thinking, oh my gosh, you wouldn't think about multiple marathons per year, but that's you committing to just walking some each day. And so these 5 minutes matter. Don't miss it twice. One time, maybe the 5 minutes gets away from you, but don't miss it twice, taking advantage of those 5 minutes. And I want you to start to add this up. Do a little checklist reward system if you need to. This is very cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, but make a little chart if you need to, where all the times that you think don't matter and that you're going to do it, make a little list. You are going to be shocked at the end of the week how close you're going to come to it being several hours. This is what I just want to impress upon you. In the morning, you have those few minutes maybe when you're annoyed and you're waiting for your kid to come down and take them to school. Walk back and forth in the house those few minutes. You have, again, like when you're going back from lunch, but you have a minute or two. You're a physician and your patient's getting room late. Don't be annoyed. Walk up and down the hall 1 or 2 minutes. March in place in the room. You're talking to a friend on the phone, on Marco Polo, whatever it is, walk. And I'm giving the walking example because that's really near and dear to me. But a big example that I use in the clinic too, it will be with getting people strength training. With time, we're going to get you into these big regimens and you're going to love it. But listen, to start out, can you a few times a week, maybe after you go to the bathroom, you do 5 squats in the bathroom and then you go about the rest of your day. These things will add up. You do a wall sit here and there. You start to do these things. They sound so silly. You think, oh, there are these random little things all over the place. They will add up so quick, you don't even know what's happening. 5 minutes matters. And then number 2, don't miss it twice. Don't allow yourself every so often, sure, we're just not going to have it in us to just get up and do it. But we're going to train ourselves that it matters. It's kind of like if you listen to the organizing episode that we had a few weeks ago here, she really talked about handle the stuff once. Actually put it away the first time. Don't just kind of put it down on the table. And this takes effort at first, right? Because a lot of us are in the habit of we come in, we kind of throw stuff on a kitchen table, or if there's some type of landing zone and it's just always a mess. And then we can just start to get into the habit of, all right, I'm just going to put this away the first time because I hate when it gets so messy and out of control. And then I have to look at it and then I have to take this whole Sunday to clean it up. You just start to say, hey, I'm just going to have everything have a place and I'm going to do these little bits a little bit more often. And so 5 minutes matters. You can find these little bits. You don't need to find whole hours. You don't need to have whole new people coming to help you. But let's take advantage of these 5 minutes and then not missing it twice. Okay, so one day you're tired and you're not getting out to do your walk. Fine, let's hit it the next day. Let's have some boundaries around what we're going to allow ourselves to say no to and what we won't. So I want to give you an example. For me, I say this often with walking, if I cannot breathe in some type of capacity. So what I mean is I have a really bad lung infection. Like every so often I need an inhaler and I'm really not doing well. Although knock on wood, it's been a really long time since I finally got everything treated properly. But every so often I really legitimately have a hard time breathing. If you have asthma or something like that, okay, that's not going to be a day you do the walk. The scenarios that I really give, is there life or limb involved? Like you need to go to the emergency room. Is there blood or fire involved? These sound extreme, but these have needed to be the things that I put in place because otherwise everything was always more important. You know, it's like, oh, this email I need to get back to, this work thing, I could get ahead on that. Oh, I promised this person. Everything to everyone else, but not what we need to do. You're not going to miss it twice. Something might come up here or there, but something cannot come up every single day that compromises your obligations to yourself. Okay, so let me really re-say that. You cannot have something repeatedly that's coming up and you're throwing yourself, I always say throwing yourself under the bus, but not taking your own needs seriously, because then you never took it seriously to begin with. Do not be making goals and plans and saying you're going to do things when you know darn well you're going to let anything else come ahead of that. This is really important. This starts to be an integrity thing, right? Just like 5 minutes matters, stop putting things on your schedule that you have zero intention to follow through on. I mean this very seriously. If you do not plan to do a 5-minute walk, a 10-minute walk, whatever it is, don't put it on your to-do list. You have no desire to want to actually see this through and to do this. And by the way, I mean this in a nice way too. So let me give you an example. Some of you might have fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue, and you say, some days I just really can't do this. That is totally fine, but I don't want you then to be putting things down where you feel like a failure when you don't do it. That is fine if your body every so often says, I really can't do this. Let's have other goals then and let it be a bonus if you can do that walk. I don't mean this in a cruel way where you say, well, you really don't get me and you're too harsh. No, but what I mean is that we cannot repeatedly put things down and not follow through on them. So 5 minutes will matter. They will add up. We're not going to miss it twice. And when we're not hitting things consistently, right? Like consistency is such a big thing. When it's again and again and again, we're not following through, then we're going to scale back the goal. And none of you want to do this. You all want to fight me, every single person. You're like, no, I can do it. Listen, I would not be setting the goal of an hour walking per day if I didn't think that I had the time, if I hadn't scheduled patients accordingly, if I didn't know in my mind that I have the time for that. Back when I was in a different practice, this was years ago, I talk about this, I was waking up really early. I would be there early in the morning. Already by 7 o'clock or 7:10, I forget exactly when, I was physically seeing people. And before that, I had already over an hour been resulting labs and answering messages. And so there was no time. For me to say at that point that I would walk an hour a day, insanity. But what was possible for me after dinner, it was to walk 5, 10, 20 minutes on the treadmill, just to help bring down blood sugar after a meal. That was possible for me, definitely not an hour. And I grew into different habits and different expectations based on what I could deliver on. But those little things really mattered. It got me out of perfection. I talk about this a lot. Even if I was too tired to go up and get the right shoes, I would pop on flip-flops. I didn't care. The goal was, we're going to get this little thing done. And it doesn't need to be perfect. We don't need to be in the perfect shoes. The speed. Oh my gosh, that was a big thing. I was like, it has to be faster. It doesn't count. Are you kidding me? Hop on that treadmill at 1.5. I don't care. Who says that if it's 3 or 4, that's only when it counts? Garbage, made up nonsense of perfectionistic fantasies. Meet yourself where you're at. Things really change radically over time as you build up. Okay, so you're going to take those 5 minutes. You're not going to miss it twice. And then anything done is better than nothing. Absolutely anything. I want you to get into the habit of you attempting the skill in absolutely any capacity is good. Even if you don't finish it, even if you think you're not making progress, but you even attempting the skill, taking any action, that can be so massive, right? So passive action is when like you're listening to podcasts all day long and you're making lists and things, but you're never actually really doing the thing. Okay, so I need you to sort of assess your life and think, am I in passive action where I'm reading a lot of books or I'm part of a lot of groups, but I'm not actually doing anything? When people are in the 30-30 group, I'm obsessed with saying, listen, you're going to get out of this passive action land. You're really going to get into massive action. Now, massive action does not mean messy, big, unrealistic, 75 hard behavior. No, massive action means I'm actually going to take an action. I'm actually going to make a commitment to myself and see it through. I'm going to try a new recipe. I'm going to not just think about some ethereal new recipe, but I'm going to see what it is. I'm going to put it on the Sunday grocery list and then ensure that Sunday night I make it so that I try it that next week. Instead of just like saving all these recipes and never doing anything with it, that's massive action. So if you've been saving recipes for years now, my friend, you have the proverbial social media problem where you're just saving, consuming. Okay, I need you to take one of them and actually make it. And by the way, this is going to be a breakthrough when you do it because you're going to realize that a lot of these recipes are nonsense. And you're going to start to get really good at being like, yeah, I tried that and that was garbage, delete. You're going to start to get more discerning when you see stuff. Okay, but I need you to get out of this passive action where you're reading books all day or you're, just like consuming podcasts and you're in this consumption role. You're listening to friends talk all day long, but you in your own life are not taking any real action. Because remember what we just said, it can be 5 minutes. It can be small. We're not going to miss it multiple days in a row so that we're out of our habit and groove. Even if it's you normally do an hour walk and today you can only do 2 minutes, you're going to do those 2 minutes so that your body remembers we still do a walk, that you remember the commitment to yourself. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of reiterate a few things that I don't care if it's B-, if it's not your best work, if it's a smaller time than you're used to, if it's not fully all the way done, it doesn't matter. because those bits are going to add up to huge things down the road. So hopefully this gets you out of that cycle if you've been sitting there and you're just always like, it's never enough. I could be doing more. And there's a difference between, as a human, us wanting to evolve to the next level and challenge ourselves, things like that, versus a negative put down all day long. That's the lane that I want you to be out of. Of course, we're always wanting to strive for bettering our spiritual life and physical health and all the things. That's very human and normal. That's something that defines us from animals, okay? But we don't need to do the negative version where, and it's not good enough, I put myself down, then I make even more unrealistic expectations. No, it's really meeting yourself where you're at. You fit it in the corners. You fit in these little micro moments. And by the way, with time, when you do this, you're going to start to realize what's important and not, and you can really hone in on it. All right, I want to leave you with a quote that James Clear had. Again, he wrote the book Atomic Habits, and he has this newsletter. Is it like 321? I think it's every Thursday. Anyway, so he had this quote here, and I thought that this was really great. I want to just read this to you. Think about if this applies to your life. I think it's super powerful. So things that are keeping people from fulfilling their potential. Here's the list. Lacking the courage to try, trying to please everyone, imitating the desires of others, chasing status without questioning why, playing superhero and trying to do it all alone, dividing attention between too many objects. All right, let that sink in. I'm going to make sure that we have this quote hopefully in our newsletter, on the blog, everywhere, so you can come back to this. But I want to just come back here for a second. You not fulfilling your potential, that is synonymous with you not having consistency, you not setting goals that are small enough. These things, you do not ever reach your potential, and it's not about perfection. So lacking the courage to try, you've got to get out there. It's going to be messy, it's going to be horrible, and you're not going to be good at it to begin with. Welcome to the club. Okay? You need some courage, commitment, capability, confidence. These things come with time. You've got to actually start though. Okay? So lacking courage to try. If you do anything, you are a super courageous person. Number 2 here, trying to please everyone. Not possible. Absolutely not possible. So if you're noticing that you're constantly thinking you need to do things a certain way, or maybe you have a trainer where, to be honest, you just don't like the way that they're going about it, but you think, well, but they know more than me, and you're realizing like my body feels horrible, I don't like what we're doing, all that kind of stuff, drop them. Quitting is actually a courageous act quite often. When you're trying to people please someone just because you think they have some self-imposed authority over you, not helping. Trying to please everyone, really not possible. Who's worth you caring what they think and you wanting to actually have that relationship with them? That's what I care much more about. Okay, imitating the desires of others. Do you even want the same things that other people want? Let's really get clear on that, because there's too much of this comparison culture going on. We used to say keeping up with the Jones, but I think it's worse than that nowadays, because there's this comparison of like, oh, the GLP-1 had this effect for you. Why is it not having that for me? Why do we need to compare the weight number? What about if blood sugar improved? What about if other things improved? So let's not look at the desires of others. Let's really stay focused on our own lane. Chasing status without questioning why. I mean, this one goes beyond health and weight and things like that. And this really goes to people typically are not really valuing things that, let's say you're on your deathbed, the things that you're really going to care about. But we don't have enough of these reality moments. And I don't know, I'm a little bit morbid in the sense that I really daily think about, wow, life is really short. I need to make sure that I'm spending time with my family. I need to make sure that I'm actually taking time off of work, because at the end of the day, I'm sorry, serious things can happen all day long. And this is not, well, when we get to retirement age, then we get to enjoy XYZ. Absolutely not. There's a balance for all of this, right? So when we say not chasing the status quo, it's not about you not wanting to be able to pay the bills, things like that, but really getting clear on why. Is it worth it? Do you want to keep doing things the same way? Okay, playing superhero and trying to do it all alone. You hear me say this all the time. It takes a massive village. I think this is such a fallacy. This is very much so I think a developed country problem, where we think that we need to live alone. We don't really get help with our families often. We don't have sort of the cultural expectations or family units anymore that some other cultures might have. And the problem is you really can't do this all alone. It's really not possible. You can do less and do it all alone. But if you're really sometimes wanting to, let's say sometimes with your health, you're wanting to achieve new things, you often need help. I've needed help from a ton of fitness people and nutrition people and mindset coaches and business coaches, you name it. And it's all interrelated. Julie, who helped me come organize the house, That has massively contributed to health. Me doing that, I can now find things so easily in my pantry. It's not psychological. It's very clearly, instantly, it made a difference. And if I would have said, well, I can organize this on my own, no, I don't have a gift for even knowing what things to pair together in a certain bin. Literally the way she did it, I'm like, oh, this makes so much sense. I wouldn't have known. In no way am I ever trying to do it alone. I'm always trying to find a group to participate in, or someone that knows a little more than me where I can learn their angle, the way that they're thinking, because we all think differently. So there's no superhero move here. It's not helpful. You think it's the answer, it's really not. All right, the last one here, dividing attention between too many projects. Oftentimes, I want to just take this for health, for example. You want to do all the things all at once. It's not going to happen. Because I'll tell you what always people describe to me, and I experience this with myself. You think that you can give intensity to all the things all at once. That's not what happens. Everything gets done in kind of a crappy way. And instead of you just saying, all right, I'm going to really get this water habit down. And then after a few weeks when I'm just like, yep, I'm used to filling this up, I'm used to getting this in, then I'm going to see what's happening with my protein. Or maybe you do the fiber angle first. But you just sort of, every few weeks, you added a new thing. And then you're like, wait, this other thing fell off. Why? And if you start to look at this impact versus effort curve, you start to really stratify things, and you start with the high impact, low effort activities. For example, what might be really low effort but high impact? Maybe drinking water, getting your protein in. What might be high effort but also high impact? But again, it takes you a lot of effort, and while it will help you, but it's a lot of effort that you're having to put in. New meal ideas, actually executing that. So maybe you don't start with new meal ideas and you start with upping the protein of what you already eat. So do you see how we need to look at all of this in context? But in order to achieve any of these things that James Clear is talking about, we need to start with realizing that anything done is great. 5 minutes will matter. I'm just not going to miss it twice. I'm going to flex to what my life looks like. I'm going to stop comparing. And I'm really going to stay in my own lane. All right. I hope that this gave you a little bit of redirection today, that your micro moments matter. You can do this. You are doing it, my friend. And we will talk soon. That marks the end of today's episode. But if you're newer to the podcast, I want to tell you about something that we have, and it's a free podcast roadmap. So this is perfect for any of you that are listening where you want to be directed to very specific episodes. So let's say that you are just starting out and you want to know, what should I do right when I start on the medications? Or you're experiencing certain side effects on the GLP-1s, or you want to know what to do if you're in a plateau, or if emotional eating is taking over, or if hunger levels are high. So we have many different categories of episodes that we've talked about, because there's a lot at this point. So if you want to be able to navigate that very easily, we have it broken down by category, and also the episodes that are there, and we hyperlink to everything. So you can just click on it and find the episode, easy peasy. If you want that, you can go to renteaclinic.com/podcast roadmap. We'll have it linked right here underneath the show notes where you're listening. And you can go ahead and get that free resource so that it makes it easy for you to navigate, because I know that it's really hard when someone has an established podcast. I am such a podcast fiend, listening to podcasts all day long. And when I find one that I love, but there's a lot that are out there, I am so lost. So I hope that you enjoy this free podcast roadmap. Again, the link to get to that is going to be renteaclinic.com/podcast roadmap. I hope this is helpful, and let me know if you have any questions.